Let's go over my BodPod results over the last few months since I've been inactive with my videos. Hey, what's shaking bacon? My name's Bruno Panucci. I hope you're doing well. So I've been doing carnivore for over 2 years now. So I've been doing that strict over the last 2 years without a lick, taste, or bite of anything I'm not supposed to have. Now, I was doing carnivore intermittently for years before that, since about 2018, and I was doing low carb intermittently before that. The key word there is intermittently, because when I wasn't doing carnivore, I was way off carnivore. And it wasn't till 2 years ago that I've been 100% strict with it. 100%. I don't deviate at all. It's not worth it because I deal with a carbohydrate addiction. And I've learned over the last number of years that I can't manage that carbohydrate addiction. It's easy if I haven't had any carbohydrates in my diet. I don't have that urge. But what it comes down to is I just don't manage carbs very well. Simple as that. Addicted to them, and I can't get enough of them when I do have them. Even though I went a few months without making any videos, I was still very strict with carnivore. In that time frame, I've had 2 BodPod scans, and a BodPod is like a DEXA scan without the x-rays. It uses a different technology to measure your lean mass and body fat percentage. It's beautifully safe because there's no x-rays involved, and it does the exact same thing as a DEXA. We're going to get into those numbers in a little bit. First, I just want to do a few more updates. So I have a Facebook group that lots of people have joined. It's a high-fat, moderate protein, 4 small meal a day challenge. And it really helped get me past the plateau I was at. It's really good for people who need to do a bit of a reset with their body. And, even if it doesn't work for you, you'll learn something from it if you try it. So if you join the Facebook group, you'll see the link in the video below. Now, in the last few months, I've been doing regular carnivore. Also, I've been mixing in some high-fat carnivore days. And this is what I noticed. When I was high-fat, 4 small meal a day carnivore with moderate protein, I accidentally went a few weeks without my allopurinol medication. And my allopurinol medication is there to manage my gout. I was originally on 800 milligrams of allopurinol. And I got to the point where I lowered that to 600. And I was trying to wean down from there. And anytime I did, within a few days, I'd start getting pressure in my left kidney because I've had kidney stones from my uric acid problems. So I was quite fascinated when I was doing this high-fat, moderate protein with 4 small meals that I didn't have any problems with my kidneys at all. In fact, I ran out of that medication for about a month or so, and I had no problems, to the point where I was thinking, I wonder if I should even go back on it. So when I went back on it, at 300 milligrams instead of the 600 I had worked my way down to. And everything was going really well with that. So what that allopurinol does, is it neutralizes the uric acid in the bloodstream. So for the last maybe 2 months, I've been back on my allopurinol medication at half the strength I was at before. But because I haven't been doing high-fat, moderate protein, 4 small meals a day consistently, in fact, I've probably only been doing that maybe 20% of the time in the last few months, I notice my left kidney has been getting its pressure back. And it's like, yeah. So I've actually increased my allopurinol back up to 600 milligrams, and it's been getting marginally better day by day. Usually it takes about a few days before that sensation in my kidney goes away. So I'm thinking I'm going to be going back to high-fat, moderate protein for a while, because if nothing else, even though I lost a good amount of lean mass doing that, because I wasn't exercising with it that much, I found that it was worth it for my kidneys. So especially in the next year, I don't want to have to deal with kidney stones. I don't want to have to risk it. Why would I worry about that more in the next year? Because I'm moving, and I'm moving out of Ontario. So not until I'm established in the new city I'm going to live in do I want to have to deal with the healthcare system. So I want to deal with it as little as possible, especially in that next year. So there's going to be a bit of a language barrier where I'm moving to. And so anything I can do to manage my uric acid problems is really good. Carnivore has helped dramatically, but I've still been on my medication, though I've been on a weaker dose. But I found this specific version of carnivore helped even more so. And I felt great, even when I was off the medication for about a month. I was blown away. So I'm hoping within a few weeks, I'll be back down to maybe 300 milligrams or less on my allopurinol medication, and I'll be going from there. Now, some of you out there might know of Coach Bronson. Coach Bronson is a keto carnivore fitness coach out there. I did an interview on his channel last summer, and he's a great guy. I think you'll really enjoy checking out his channel, Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness. And he published a book. Now, he asked me a while ago to mention his book, but I wasn't doing videos at the time. So I'm back at it with the videos, and I really want to mention his book. I've read some excerpts from it. I haven't gotten it yet, but I really plan to. So you can get the Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness book on Amazon. So I highly recommend you check that out, amazon.com. I'll post a link for that in the video below as well. So now we're at the point where we're going to go over my BodPod results. So I've done 2 BodPods in the last few months alone, one at the beginning of December and one at the beginning of this last month. And at first, my first one was really good. My second one, not as good. And I know exactly why my second one wasn't as good, because I had dairy about 2 weeks before I did that BodPod. And I had a lot of dairy. I had some raw cheese and I had some raw milk and I had some raw cream. I knew the scale would go up, but you know what? I was out of town and I wanted to enjoy myself. I knew going into it, I was going to have some of that stuff. So I didn't make a huge meal out of the cheese like I used to years ago with cheese. I had just a little bit each day, and I did the same with the cream and I did the same with the milk. It was easy for me to manage having a little bit each day. Now I knew it would either stall my weight loss or have me temporarily put weight on, and I'm not worried about that because it tends to come right back off within a few weeks. So I'm back up to 316 pounds, but I was down to 306 for a while there. Let's go over my BodPod results from December. Okay, going over my BodPod results from December 1st, I got down to 41.2% body fat mass. So that was really good. That was actually an improvement from before. And I was mainly just doing regular carnivore in that time frame. I was doing a little bit of high fat, but I wasn't doing moderate protein. I was doing probably regular protein for a guy my size, something that I was a bit more of a fan of. And I was probably getting about a gram per pound of lean mass. So I was getting about 200 grams of protein a day. So what I noticed from that was my free fat went down, not by much, but it went down from 180.7 to 180.4. My body mass went down just a few pounds. Now, the nice thing about that was, even though my body fat was at 41.2%, so 126.4 pounds. So what I liked about this was my fat-free mass only went down a very, very little bit, 0.3 pounds. But my body fat went down substantially. So that was all good news. The interesting thing about these scans is Debbie, who does these tests on me with the BodPod, she always points out that she really likes talking to me because I usually have a good indication of what my body's doing. So whenever I get my test done, she's like, yeah, this is where you are. That's pretty much exactly where you thought you might be. And I never usually weigh myself before I go into these exams. So even if I did weigh myself, that doesn't mean too much because I can't guess what my lean mass to body fat percentage is. I can estimate it. I can make a guesstimate based on what I was doing through the month. If I was exercising a lot more with weights or I just wasn't getting enough protein, I can usually have an idea if my lean mass is up or down. I was going in the proper direction. I was down to 306, almost 307 pounds. So I was able to say I'm down over 160 pounds doing carnivore. Now, I did my other exam, and that was January 31st. So that was a month later. Now I went up to 42.2%. So I went up 1% in my body fat. My lean mass went up about 1.5 pounds. My lean mass went up about 1.5 pounds, but my weight went up 10 pounds, almost exactly 10 pounds, just shy of 10 pounds. My resting metabolic rate went up by 40 calories a day. So yeah, those numbers were pretty much exactly what I expected. Debbie was impressed when I went to see her because she asked where I thought I was. And I was like, well, I probably put on weight and probably not much lean mass, mainly fat because of the dairy that I had. And sure enough, she was like, you're right as always. So it's pretty funny how that worked. So I've been doing regular carnivore all this time through February, and I'm really going to be going back to high fat, moderate protein. Even though it caused a hit to my lean mass in the past, I wasn't exercising. So I'm going to have to try and combat that with some exercise so I don't damage my resting metabolic rate, because I lost 100 calories a day, my resting metabolic rate, because I lost the lean mass doing moderate protein. So I think it's really important that we stay active whenever we do any sort of body transformation. But you have to find the right type of activity for you. So I'm concerned, for example, that I have high cortisol. I've had a history of high cortisol, and I've been getting some symptoms of having high cortisol, and that means my body is stressed. When I do high fat, moderate protein, my body is stressed. It doesn't like it. I noticed that afterwards. One of the first easiest signs I could tell when my body is stressed is even though I only lost a marginal amount of weight doing that, my hair really got a lot thinner up top and it stayed thinner. So I know my body didn't respond well to that. Yeah, if I lost 100 pounds, that kind of goes along with that, but I didn't lose 100 pounds. I lost like 20 pounds. There shouldn't have been that much of an effect on my body. I'm going to play this by ear because I want to look at the bigger picture. It's not about the scale right now. It's about finding what's best for my body. And that's been the challenge I've been doing all the way through this. So I'm going to try and do some exercise through this. I'm going to try and be consistent with some shorter exercises that aren't going to hopefully aggravate my cortisol levels. So HIIT workouts, if I do them, they're going to be very short. I want to stress my body, but in the right ways. Hopefully for my next video, it'll be a video specifically on carnivore crisps and my review of them. So thanks a lot. I hope you're doing well. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button and give it a like. Thanks a lot and take care.